Thank you for tuning in, and welcome back to the Sandwich of Coherency. So, let's just go ahead and jump right into it. This entire week, we've been getting to know the people in charge, and a little bit about them and their dealings and goings on. So today we're going to look into the workers. Now, we've all known, or rather many of us have known for a long time, this entire time, that Dr. Fauci is a liar. And is not one that you should just so quickly put your faith in what he has to say. Because it's always changing. His truths are always changing. He's lied before the Senate. Multiple times. So it has now come out. We're going to get into a few things that have come out, but due to a Freedom of Information request by The Intercept, it has come out that yes, they did do gain of function research. And by gain of function, they gave function to a coronavirus, allowing it, which gives it the ability to then infect human cells. Now, turns out that they released that information this year. But the key is that they got their funding and they started the research over 2 years ago. And what the release of their document states is that what they did gave function to the coronavirus through their actions of what they were doing with their research of working with bats. They gave function to bat coronaviruses, giving them the ability to then infect human cells. Now, their research and what they're saying is infecting humans now are only 97% similar, and 96, 97, and their idea is that 3% difference is enough of a space that they can't be the same thing. They are not related. And maybe not. But that's just, I'm not speculating whether it is or it's not. I'm just stating this is the information. So now, ecohealth, we have to first, and I'm sure a lot of people have heard the name of EcoHealth Alliance. Whom is EcoHealth Alliance? What do they do? Well, they investigate viruses and infectious diseases and outbreaks. But they specialize in bats. Now, what they do is they are supposed to be... Now, before I get too far ahead, let's get to know EcoHealth, and let's go back to the EcoHealth Alliance's mission video. Now, this is from 2014. This is their official video, and this is giving an idea of whom EcoHealth is.
Panic grips Hong Kong as a deadly new virus sweeps through the city.
We all heard about SARS, the first pandemic of the 21st century, and we heard that it came from the wildlife markets of China. Our scientists at ecohealth Alliance went out to China and looked into those markets and showed that bats carry a virus that if we allow that virus to spread from one animal to another. Eventually it gets into people and evolves to become SARS.
Oh, okay. So let's see. We've already began there. So, we do have to, it's referencing to the SARS outbreak, I believe it was from 2003. And since then, they've been heavily researching and working with bats. Now, this is all going to lead up to their dealings with Darpa, which is the project research group for the United States, for the CIA, the Pentagon. This is the robotics group, I guess you could say. These are the people that, you see all the robots, the security dog that they released over the past year to make sure that people were abiding by their lockdowns and their social distancing. So this was developed by them. They're the ones that developed that, which, oddly enough, a company has attempting to make, I guess, an update for military use, has decided to arm one, and not gonna lie, it looks pretty fucking amazing, but at the same time, that's pretty fucking scary. But, so, getting back to the EcoHealth Alliance, let's listen to a little bit more of what they have to say from their mission video.
We have mathematicians who predict where the next disease is going to come from. We have scientists in the field working with wildlife.
And we should get data.
Understand. So, they specifically study outbreaks. This is what they do. They are specifically going and working with wildlife in these different areas to study outbreaks. Alright, this will be the last bit. Now I'll stop interrupting.
A few years ago, EcoHealth Alliance started to analyse where these emerging diseases come from, and we made a major breakthrough. We developed the first ever emerging disease hotspot map that shows us where the next pandemic is most likely to come from.
We monitor wildlife and human population density. We can see its relationship with the emerging infectious diseases.
That is their mission statement. This is them telling you what they do. They developed that algorithm for detecting outbreaks of infectious diseases. That is their bread and butter. That is how they make their living. So now you know whom Eco Alliance is. So you have to understand when they say that they weren't working with live bats, you can now understand why that is a complete and utter lie, because that is how they make their money, is by working with these live animals to extract these infectious diseases that they might carry, so that they can see if they can be transmissible to humans and how they will be able to deal with that, which requires them to add function to them. That is their specialty. Now, what has happened is you have to understand is that with the SARS virus, the coronavirus, COVID-2, however you want to say it. What it is it has the ability for furin cleavage sites, which means it's able to produce 4 types of aminos that give it the ability to attach to humans, more or less attach to human cells, that allow it to be able to, the shell that surrounds it, be able to break down, which allows it to enter human cells. That is pretty much the function right there. as best as, I'm understanding the science, what the papers are reading, what I'm reading. This is how I understand it. Now, what's important is that it was a third party that was doing the research at the Wuhan lab. And mind you, you don't do business in China without the Chinese government having basically a portion of ownership of that which is doing business in their country. They do not allow otherwise. So understand that this is something that was working under the Chinese military. And so the sponsorship of the Wuhan Chinese lab by the CCP was through the military, working with American companies. So EcoHealth Alliance, working with coronaviruses, developed something and had an idea. So they took it to Darpa. We know this because to keep themselves from being thrown under the bus, Darpa had to come out and explain and get ahead of it that, yeah, they told them no. They wanted no parts of that. Because what they were offering and wanting to do and wanting funding for was for gain of function research. They wanted $14.2 million from Darpa to do this. Now, so basically the way it went is Darpa said no, and they kept going and looking, and what they came up with was the National Institute of Health. So the National Institute of Health gave the money to EcoHealth Alliance, but since gain of function research is not legal here in the United States, is not supposed to fund that. They gave it to a third party, basically diffusing their legal liabilities is what they were attempting to do with that. So, understanding that, Dr. Fauci is a huge proponent of gain of function research, understood what was going on, and he allowed this. He is basically on board, was approving of this. He understood what was going on in these labs. You had Dr. Barrick, I believe he's the UNC professor, who had been studying these, I believe, since 2010. It was UNC Chapel Hill that made one of the first discoveries of it in North Carolina. So they are working with all of this, and part of the reason for what they wanted to do is, and this is part of the rejection from Darpa, was because they wanted to create aerosols to be able to infect the bats, to find a way to neutralize the coronaviruses so they wouldn't pass into humans. And Darpa wanted no parts of the aerosolization of a virus. Because here's the function. What they wanted to do was the whole purpose of what their plan was to create aerosol viruses for infection, and they wanted to test it on human cleavage sites. Which means they wanted to test an aerosol virus in order, as they say, to create an aerosolized vaccine by being allowed to practice on infecting human cells. This is the research that they wanted to do. This is the research that was rejected by Darpa. That is the research that the National Institute of Health, through Dr. Fauci's approval, was funded by U.S. tax dollars. And you find out 2 years after a Freedom of Information request that they say, well, we weren't attempting gain of function research, but what we did just happened to give function to the virus. And you have to understand that this is the video I played you from. That played for you was from 2014. This is not just something they just figured out or they just stumbled upon this. They've been working on this. The way that the disease infects, the way that it spreads, and the way that it functions all correlates with their research, but they're telling you that there is no connection. There is no lab leak. Oh, no. This just naturally happened, even despite many virologists around the world and researchers stating that there was no way this could happen naturally. And then we find out that they have been funding this, and what they were funding is specifically correlated to the way the pandemic happened. And the way the government's handled it, well, that's a story for another time. So, but like I said, this information, you take it how you want to take it. You don't have to believe me. You can go and do your own research and look this up. Don't just blindly believe what I say. I want you to go and look and research this, dig deeper. Because every day, more and more lies are uncovered. And as more and more lies become uncovered, we need more people's eyes to be opened to the fact that something is not right. They cannot keep lying to you this way and have no consequences. They're literally playing with people's lives, and none of them have faced and probably will never face any consequences for their actions. But the people need to stick together in this, and again, make your own decisions, talk with your own GP, and you do what's right for you. But whether you like it or not, don't ignore it. Something is happening, and it's time to buckle down and prepare for what's coming. Nobody knows. But again, maybe this will all blow over and we'll wake up and this will just have been a bad dream. But one can hope, right? Well, I thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you next time.